Right now, there are 41 killers in Dead by Daylight, each with their own powers and playstyles. And with Jason coming out soon, I was thinking of what killers would be cool to see come to the game in the future. And then, as I was thinking, I remembered Trapper's Minotaur skin. And while more licensed killers would be awesome, original killers can be just as cool when they're based on folklore and mythology. So this video is just the top 5 characters from myth, folklore, stories that I would love to see as killers in Dead by Daylight. I know the video is a little amateurish compared to some other creators out there, but keep in mind I'm still learning to make these videos better. But if you do like the video, please drop a like and maybe subscribe. I'm going to try and put out 2 videos a week. Something I really wish we had is an ice-themed killer. Spirit does have a Yuki-onna skin, and I really do like the cosmetic. It's simple, but it's nice. I wish we had an actual Yuki-onna though. We already have 2.5 Japanese yokai-themed killers, but a Yuki-onna would be really cool, and that pun was absolutely intended. See, a Yuki-onna is a yokai in Japanese folklore. It's a winter spirit, and they're usually shown as very beautiful women, wearing a very white kimono, snow white hair, pale skin. A lot of times, and especially in anime these days, they're shown with ice blue eyes. For a weapon, she could use like a naginata or a tanto, something traditional. For her power, though, I really would want it to focus on like a hypothermia mechanic. Hypothermia, there would be winter winds blowing across the map, and those winds would cause hypothermia among the survivors. As that hypothermia builds up, maybe it would give them like maybe they would slow them down, maybe it would cause just some form of debuff. And around the map, there would be old-style Japanese hearths, sort of like Plague has her fountains, where the survivors could warm up and lower the hypothermia buildup. These days, though, like, killers need mobility these days. And a killer without mobility is destined to be low B tier, unless they have some form of map-wide pressure. So she would probably need a way to traverse distances really quickly. Maybe by turning into a snow cloud to follow those same winter winds, she could just turn into the snow cloud, the winter winds would carry the snow cloud, and when she was ready to get off, she would turn back into the Yuki-onna form. Actually, the hypothermia mechanic could even go into the Mori as well. If you Mori somebody with a low hypothermia level, you would just kill them with your weapon, like an elegant naginata kata, or form. I'm showing my weeb. Whatever. But if you were to Mori someone with a high hypothermia level, you would freeze them into like a terrified-looking ice sculpture that would stand in the map for the rest of the trial. She could also have her own like Japanese-themed map in the same realm as the Yamaoka state. Maybe this one being in the winter season instead of the fall like the other two, filled with like tons of frozen statues across the map. Think of Oni's map, Sanctum of Wrath, with all those like Buddhist statue things all around the map that just kind of turn and look at you. Think of something like that, but with frozen statues of victims. I just think that would be super cool, and I really wish they would do something like that. The next killer, really, I'm not even going to say this as a killer. It's more of an honorary mention, because I think it would do better as a legendary skin for another killer rather than its own unique killer. The Slitmouth Woman, or the Kuchisake Onna, it's an urban legend from Japan about a woman who was mutilated with a Glasgow smile, and she wears a surgical mask, comes up to you, and asks you, "Am I beautiful?" And really, it doesn't matter how you answer, you're kind of screwed either way. If you say no or scream, she cuts your face into a big grin like hers. But if you say yes, she will remove the mask, ask you again, and if you say no, she kills you. If you say yes again, she will follow you home and either murder you in your sleep or cut your face up anyways, so it's a lose-lose situation. The best way to get away from her, though, is to just say you're late for an appointment and she lets you go. Monsters have polite standards, I guess. I think this would be better as a legendary skin, though, not as its own unique killer. Maybe for Legion, her weapon would be a big pair of scissors, and when she went into feral frenzy, she would take the surgical mask off and her mouth would go into that horrifying grin. And instead of the heavy breathing that the Legion usually has, it could be just like a menacing cackling or giggling or laughing. And for the Mori, she could just hold down the survivor, cut their mouth into a big smile, and then at the end she could just tell them, "There, now you're beautiful too." I think that it would be very cool as just a legendary skin. I'd love to see it. Like, maybe not even just for Legion, just for in the game in general. Number 3 is the Jiangshi, I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm not sure. It's the hopping zombie from China. Cannot move its limbs, so instead of walking, it hops. And is a cross between a zombie and a vampire. But it cannot see and it cannot hear. So it'd be really cool if it had a overlay for the map, kind of like how Freddy kind of does. The map colors could appear washed out and dull for the killer. But in order to track the survivor, the Jiangshi wouldn't see scratch marks as like normal killers would. They would actually track the survivors by smell instead of scratch marks, which would kind of brighten the map and remove that washed out filter around areas where the survivors had been, and they would track them through that. I don't think it would work in practice, since I'm not sure how it could work for people who may have certain forms of colorblindness, but it's still an interesting idea. I won't lie, the main reason I even remember this type of zombie is because of Lee from Shaman King. I loved that show as a kid, and obviously the Shaman King Jiangshi are different to actual stories about them, but it left a mark. I really like the characters. I don't have a good idea of what other powers he could have, though. I just think a killer that hops like this would be funny and goofy, and I'm all for that. Maybe there could be two killers similar to the twins, a necromancer and his minion, and a necromancer can control the Jiangshi. Just think about if Nemesis could control his zombies. They were quicker and, not as dumb as friggin' rocks. Those things can be useful every now and again, so if they could be controlled, maybe they'd be, useful every other match instead of every 5. This is one I'm very shocked we don't have a skin for, and if we do, I do not remember it. But I mean, come on, a Gorgon would be really awesome as a killer. A power that can turn a survivor to stone, at least temporarily, and it would be based around how long the survivor looks at her. It fills up a meter, and if it fills up, you freeze for a short duration. Like a reverse unknown, the meter would fill up like reverse unknown, and you'd have to look away to lower the meter. Obviously, that would have to be a secondary mechanic, though, which would be pretty weak. We have the Minotaur skin for Oni, like I mentioned, so maybe she could also be a legendary skin like that, but I would rather she be her own killer. An ancient Greek monster would be badass. Just in case you don't really know what a Gorgon is, though, they're the 3 monster sisters from Greek mythology. Think Medusa. Medusa's the most famous of the 3. Snakes for hair and can give you a stink eye so bad it turns you to stone. Dracula actually has an add-on called Medusa's Hair, so maybe Medusa from Castlevania could work. Hey guys, so this is me coming back as I'm editing this. So I actually made a mistake here. The Medusa from Castlevania I got mixed up with something else. So Medusa from Castlevania would 100% work. So just ignore what I say here. But that Medusa is not really what I personally would want design-wise, since it's pretty far from the actual mythology. That's just me, though. We really need a spider-themed killer, too, and a good candidate for a spider-themed killer is another Greek monster named Arachne. She's the mother of all spiders, like literally the mother of all spiders. She was a human woman who nobody was better at weaving tapestries. And eventually she got so arrogant, Athena came to put her in her place. And they had a competition, and when Arachne made a tapestry showing all the flaws of the gods, Athena got really pissed off. She destroyed the tapestry, hit Arachne over the head, and Arachne self-deleted by hanging. Athena then turned her into a spider so that, her and her descendants would be punished and continue weaving forever. The more I read about the Greek gods, the more I'm glad they just probably don't exist. Like, I don't really, I wouldn't want to run into one, probably. I don't really know what kind of powers Arachne could have. The spider-themed killer should be really suited to traps, but we all know how well trap-focused killers do in this game these days. But honestly, if you have any good ideas for powers, though, I'd be glad to read about it in the comments. But that's it for this video, you guys. As always, if you enjoyed it, please drop a like and maybe subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. And I hope you have an awesome day. Like I said, I'm going to try and put out at least 2 videos a week these days. I'm really wanting to push YouTube a little bit, make more videos. Anyway, I hope you have a good rest of your day.